Good morning, everybody. Dear students, I, Dr. Tiwari, once again appear for you, having the subject and topic of today. Our today's topic is negotiation and endorsement has been taken from Negotiable Instruments Act 1881. Negotiation has been defined under Section 14, while endorsement has been defined under Section 15 of the Act. In this way, we have to proceed with the definitions of endorsement, its valid, essential elements, its kinds, and effects. First of all, I have to say that many chapters or the maximum parts of the negotiable instruments have already been discussed in the running classes prior to half of the March. But in the online classes, once again, I have to detail it for the benefits of the mass of the students. I think all of you would be highly beneficial, and this lecture is also important for those students who have been preparing for the competitive exams. Now we have to proceed ahead. In this way, the transfer of instrument by one party to another so as to constitute to transfer a holder is called negotiations. A bearer instrument is transferable by simple delivery defined under Section 14 of NI Act, while an instrument payable to order can be transferred by endorsement and delivery described under Section 15 of NI Act. The provision of negotiations by delivery has been detailed under Section 46 and 47 of NI Act. Section 46 deals with delivery and says that the making of negotiable instrument is completed by delivery that must be actual or constructive, while the bearer instruments can be negotiated by mere delivery. An order instrument can be negotiated by endorsement and delivery, and endorsement means signature of the persons who has right to negotiate. Now we should go through negotiations by endorsement described under Section 48 of NI Act. Under this provisions, we must know an instruments payable to order is negotiated by endorsement and delivery. Thus, endorsement requires two formalities. First, the holder should endorse it and then deliver it to his endorsee. Endorsement is made by signing the name of the endorser, usually on the back of the instrument. But when the back is already full of endorsements, further endorsements may be signed on a slip of paper annexed to the instrument. Such slip is called allonge and become a part of the instruments. Section 15 of the Act reads as, when the maker or holder of a negotiable instrument signs the same, otherwise than as such maker for the purpose of negotiation on the back or face thereof, or on a slip of paper annexed thereto, or so signs for the same purpose of a stamped paper intended to be completed as a negotiable instrument, he is said to endorse the same and is called the endorser. We have to note that the words described in it otherwise than as such maker in the provision means that the signature on the instrument in the capacity of a maker does not constitute an endorsement. Now we have to know what are the essential elements for a valid endorsement. These are as under, please note it down. Number 1, it must be met on the instrument or form an integral part of the instruments. Number 2, it should be made in ink. Number 3, it must be made by a holder of the instrument, a stranger or outsider who is not party to the instruments cannot endorse it. Number 4, it must be made with an intention to negotiate the instrument. Number 5, the endorsement must be of the entire instruments. There is no provisions for the partial endorsement. There is no such thing as a partial instruments because there is no partial acceptance. Number 6, all makers, drawers, endorses or pay, as the case may be, must join in endorsing, otherwise the endorsement is not complete. But in 2 cases, the endorsers need not to join. Number 1, when the endorsers are all partners of a firm, the partner may effectively endorse. And next, when there are several endorsers, one may endorse on behalf of himself and others with the authority of others. Now, the question arises before us that who can endorse? Who shall be the rightful party or persons who can endorse the instruments? Section 51 deals with the party persons who may negotiate. The pay of an instrument is the rightful persons to make the first endorsement. As per the sections 51, who has become the holder in his own right may endorse the same instruments. However, this section enables all parties to the instruments to endorse, but maker of the bill of promissory note and the drawer of the bill of exchange cannot endorse it. But if they have become the holder of their own right, he may endorse the instruments. Thus, sections, however, enables all persons parties to instruments to endorse it. Now we have to know what are the effects of an endorsement. The effects are as under: an unconditional endorsement followed by the deliveries of the instruments has the following legal effects. Number 1, the ownership of the instrument is transferred right now from the endorsers to the endorsee. Number 2, the endorsee gets the right of further negotiations of the instruments. And number 3, the endorsee gets the right to bring an actions for recovery against all the parties whose name appear on the instruments. Now we should proceed ahead in course of the kinds of endorsement. The endorsements can be classified accordingly in accordance with the forms designed to accomplish certain goals. Endorsements may be of either full or in blank. It means blank endorsement or full endorsement. Restrictive endorsement, partial endorsement, conditional endorsement, sans recourse, facultative. Every endorsement is some combinations of these forms of the endorsement. Now we must know the detail of the blank endorsement and the full endorsement. Blank endorsement is also called the general endorsement. A blank endorsement does not specify any particular persons who can further negotiate the instruments. Section 16 clause 1 of the Negotiable Instruments Act reads as: if the endorser signs his name only, the endorsement is said to be in blank. Thus, when an endorser signs his name on the instruments without mentioning the name of the endorsee, the endorsement is said to be blank endorsement. It is also known as the general endorsement. The effect of blank endorsement is that in order instruments become a bearer instruments, this each can be further negotiated by the mere delivery only. Endorsement, sans recourse. An endorser of a negotiable instrument may, by express words in the endorsement, exclude his own liability thereon. If the endorser does not want to incur any liability as endorser, he can insert stipulations in his endorsement negotiating or limiting his liability. Next to that, the partial endorsement, section 56 deals with the partial endorsement, which says that as instruments cannot be endorsed for a part of its amount only. If the instrument is for rupees 100, for example, if we see that it cannot be endorsed for rupees 50 only, but if the amount due has already been partly paid, a note to that effect may be endorsed on the instrument and it may then be negotiated for the balance. Next to that, what is the effect of endorsement? Section 50 deals the effects. The endorsement of a check or bill of exchange has a varied significance. It has several legal effects. Number one, it transfers the property in the negotiable instruments. Next, it gives the right to sue the acceptor of the bill for the recovery of the amount due thereon. And next, it gives the right to recover from the endorsee and those above him on dishonors. And next to that, it gives the holder the right of further negotiations to anyone he pleases. Regarding this, there are several provisions for the different kinds of endorsement. A forged endorsement does not convey any title of the transferee of the negotiable instruments. Because of such types of endorsements does not have any place for the valid endorsement. Dear students, go through the subject matter in detail. I think our such discussions would be so beneficial for all of you. Thanks. Have a nice day.